All right, I've come to the Etowah Indian Mounds. It's a Georgia state park to learn about the Indians that lived in this part of the country long before the Europeans arrived. So let's go take a look around and see what we can find. The Etowah Mounds were built somewhere between 1000 AD to 1550 AD and were used during this time period. All right, to get to the mounds, first we have to go over the defensive ditch of the native town where these mounds are located. And they have a bridge that goes over, and you see that these ditches are incredibly large. This was some society that built this. All right, heading over the bridge, in the distance you can see the mounds coming into view. And they are large mounds. That had to have taken a lot of effort. So let's go find out a little bit more. They have quite a few markers here talking about native plants. By the visitor center, they have some examples of the plants that the native people would have grown here. As you walk down the trail to the mounds, they have several markers giving you more information on the Indian village that was once here when they built the mounds. All right, now I'm standing in front of the largest mound, and if we spin around here, then we see this big open field. This is where the plaza would have been, where they would have all their games and ceremonies, and people would gather, and the village would be located around here. All right, here is Mound A, which would have been the main ceremonial mound. The chieftain and the temple would have been up here. This mound is 6 stories high, so let's give it a climb. Originally, these stairs wouldn't have been here, but there would have been stairs in the side of the mound made of packed clay that people would have climbed. Well, I've been climbing the stairs for a while. It takes a little bit of effort to get to the top of this mound. Walking up 6 stories of stairs on a hot day, yeah, good thing we came in the morning. All right, let's keep going to the top. All right, I made it to the top. That was quite a climb. As you can see, I'm a little out of breath. That would have been easier if I was younger. All right, this is the top of the main mound where the chief and his family lived. And they probably had a temple up here too. The archaeologists have done a ground penetrating radar and discovered that there are at least 4 buildings up here. 2 other mounds can be seen up here. These are Mounds B and C. And they're large, but they look small from the view up here. Out there is where the main plaza was, where they'd have their games, and where the village would have been, and people would have lived. There's some smaller mounds up there. Okay, now I'm on the back side of the mound from where the stairs came up. And on this side of the mound, you can go to the edge and look down. And let me tell you, that looks like a pretty steep drop to the bottom. All right, down there is the defensive ditch and the visitor center. And you can see people walking up that trail. They look small from up here. And imagine, this whole thing was built using primitive tools and baskets to carry dirt. This just boggles the mind, how much work it would have taken to build this thing. All right, I've come down off the tallest mound. Now let's go take a look at the next mound. As you can see, that stairway looks a little bit easier than the last one. All right, I'm heading up the steps of Mound B. Up here they found a large structure. They've also found burials up here and remains of animals and other artifacts. They've never really excavated this whole mound. So this was probably where a priest lived or some other high figure in the community. And here we are at the top. That was a lot shorter climb. And you can see that the size of this mound is quite a bit smaller across. Then you can see Mound C over there. And there's the main mound. There's the side mound we talked about on the top. And then the 6-story mound where the chief lived. Really impressive. From the top of Mound C, you can see what looks like smaller mounds that they show on the map. They're really hard to make out in that tall grass. And there's the main plaza. Once again, the visitor center and the defensive ditch, and another view of the main mound where the chief lived. All right, now I'm walking up to Mound C, which is another one of the large but smaller mounds, especially when you stop and compare that with the main mound. That's huge. Once again, getting closer to Mound C. This is another ceremonial mound. All right, let's climb Mound C and take a look around. They completely excavated this mound and found a lot of artifacts and structures within the mound and burials. But they have all been returned to the Indians so that they can take care of the artifacts. They may have been put back in this mound. I'm not sure. There you can see a view of the main mound from here, and next to it, Mound B we went up. From the top of Mound C, you can see the river in the distance. This is probably why this village is here. They would have constructed villages along the river for fresh water, fish, and other wildlife. All right, this is the river we could see from the top of Mound C. It's quite wide, and you can really understand why you'd want to build a village right here. It looks like two streams come together up there to form what you see here. This water is moving at a good pace. So this would have been clean, fresh drinking water for the village. As I've gone to a lot of different Indian villages or colonial settlements, one thing they all have in common is they're located along the rivers, because you really need fresh drinking water to establish any kind of population, and it's a good place for hunting and fishing. Okay, now I'm on the trail that goes on the other side of the plaza, and I'm standing behind what I think is Mound D. In the distance you can see Mound A. And there's two more mounds on this side. There is one appears to be over there, and then across the road here there's supposed to be another one. So we'll see if we can find it. Well, I'm standing in front of Mound F that you can barely see. Well, that's it for the mounds that I've identified here. Here is the big defensive ditch that runs around the front, and the bridge that goes across it, and the visitor center is on the other side of this bridge. Here they're working on a reproduction of an Indian canoe. They're burning it out and scraping it. Also here at the Indian Mounds, they have a recreation of a village home that the Indians would have lived in. So let's go inside and take a look around. Interesting. In these houses, they have a fire in the center. And then as we go up, we'll see that there's a hole in the roof for the smoke to go out. Here they have a nice recreation model of the village at the visitor center, where you can see the mounds, the complex, and the plaza. So I hope you've enjoyed the visit to the Etowah Indian Mounds, a Georgia historic site. So until next time, see ya.